decided to be frozen.
Is is this rehearsed? Does that happen the number of times over the course of the pandemic where you've been on a video call with somebody and it just freezes? Right. And you want to be the first question you want to ask is not was I frozen, but what was I doing?
Yeah.
What was happening during the freeze? The great freeze of our Zoom call or Skype call or FaceTime. I feel like it's all the same. I want to give a high five. I've talked about this before. I want to give a high five to the marketing department, but in Zoom in North America, I feel like they swept in and they were strong
Yeah.
and
I lived
convinced.
I
And
lived
con-
on Zoom pretty much this past year. Every single, almost like pretty much every day. Like I was on Zoom.
was that the platform that was forwarded to you for the conversation to take place on? There, people would say,
Um, it was more so the functionality was a little bit maybe like I don't know. It was the first platform that I uh I was able to really get remote production and remote Ableton training up and running smoothly on.
okay,
Like, like you were able to like share your screen, you're able to do remote screen takeover. It has a virtual audio interface that you can open up Ableton and output Ableton directly to Zoom audio, which would send you a direct feed over Zoom. So it made it really conducive for workshops and remote training. So that's why I been mostly in Zoom this past year. I tried doing it with Skype, at the beginning of the lockdown, and it's just like I couldn't get it up and running as functionally as I could with Zoom.
okay.
So that's why I've been mostly in Zoom.
In the past, when I've worked with someone remotely and pass and file back and forth, and then be like, oh my god, we got to be at this at the same time. I use something called TeamViewer, but I don't think I had the pro version or something, which would have allowed for the direct audio feed. So it became a little funky listening to somebody else's work, through a stream of
Yeah,
them capturing the audio through their speakers and mic and then feeding it back to you.
yeah, no, that's it's if you're doing like any mixing, it's almost impossible to do it
Yeah,
that way.
no, for writing it kind of works. I mean, you get the idea. Eventually, you have to have the file sent to you. But yeah,
Yeah.
you couldn't possibly do mixing. No,
Are you
but this
in your
works.
basement right now?
This is your first time. You know, we've hung out. We've hung out lots, but
Yeah.
this is our first date, and that is perfect for me to go ahead and say that Chicago is home to house music. And while the loved and celebrated genre pops through as an origin point of this sound, the city has much to offer, like this DJ, producer, rock star, certified Ableton instructor, and probable lover of fried chicken. We are nearly 14 feet deep in the utility room with Mr. Orville Kline.
What
Welcome to the
up?
show.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going great. We are really underground.
That's great. Like I was,
We don't
yeah,
just say
that's
it, we mean it.
yeah. I know it's like I know I think we're in similar time zones, but I'm like I don't think it's that dark outside right now. I can tell you're really really deep. Like,
Yeah,
are you
well,
getting? You've been getting into a lot of really deep house lately, huh?
you know what?
No,
Actually, I haven't. I've gone the other way. I'm
yeah,
I'm 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 liking, like, if it sounds like a construction site at 131 beats a minute, I'm into it.
awesome, awesome,
Yeah,
yeah.
and someone's car alarm goes off. There we are.
Well, yeah, it's great to reconnect with you. I know we've hung out a million times over the years, but it has been quite a while since we've had actually had like a full conversation. So this is great to catch up and check in and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what this is. It's a little bit of what you did, how you did it, where you're at now, and I think that the story is super awesome on your end. I let's go right to the start. Where were you at? What were you doing when you first got bit? Your vampire bite with electronic music.
Um, that's it's pretty hard to like. Are you saying like just in general, which would first got me into it?
Yeah.
It was like I've been a musician like pretty much my whole life. I started playing alto sax when I was in like second grade. So, like, I like at a pretty young age, I started getting into music, and when I was really young, like back then, I was mostly into rock and metal, and then that evolved into to punk and industrial, and then gradually, like as you expand your horizons, you get exposed to different flavors and different things that you might maybe your parents weren't listening to, and you're able to like meet more people, and like that initial passion for music and rock and metal like evolved into like a rock music with electronics, and then that evolved into like industrial, and that it kind of evolved into just the whole world of electronic music, and it was like it was a gradual kind of segue into getting into the electronic world that I'm fully immersed in now. Over like I say since I started playing music, I'd say about 80% of it has been like in the electronic, but initially it was just kind of like segue stuff. I had an older uncle, which was an active member of like kind of the club scene here in Chicago. He was a performer and a promoter, and he was deep involved into that world. At one point, when I was really young, he just gave me a stack of CDs. He's like, "Hey, this is electro, this is techno, this is drum and bass, this is ambient." Like he gave me just like a fat stack of CDs. When he's like, all right, when by the time you're able to go out, start going out to all these parties and clubs, you're gonna be way ahead of all your friends that aren't exposed to it. And he just gave it was all just like a big offload of all this music at once. And then a few of the CDs like really kind of really like I really liked, I really understood, and I got kind of like right away. And that was like so kind of out at the same time that I was getting into this, like at the, I guess concurrently to that, I dove into this music collection, and this was probably like around the year 2000 ish, and some of the really the my biggest influences early on were that kind of like that early 2000s wave of electro music, where it was Felix the House Cat, Miss Kitten, and the Hacker. Um, at that time, like other DJs like Tommy Sunshine in Chicago were doing a bunch, and I also kind of early on got into drum and bass because on Q101, which what it was 101.1 FM in Chicago, there was there was a all dance every single night. It would it would turn into like a dance music radio show that would play drum and bass and underground dance music, and that's where I got introduced to DJs like Danny the Wild Child, and I used to like record the radio broadcast on cassette tapes at night, and it was called ah, fuck I'm having trouble but the show it was originally called Sonic Boom. Yeah, Sonic Boom was the original show that was on every weeknight. It was hosted by another friend and now colleague named Joey Swanson. He kind of ran that show, and I used to record those tapes. And fast forward like about 10 or 15, 12 years later, I actually became like a resident on like the newer version of that show, which became called the Electric Playground. So like I actually like so that was like it was just cool how things like kind of came full circle with that, just like being exposed, becoming a fan, and yeah, I don't know if all that makes sense, but
No, no,
yeah,
it's very cool. I always I love to hear the stories about the involvement of radio and the role that it played in getting the music out, because
yeah,
radio never, at least in Canada, we had moments, but I don't believe that radio ever truly embraced electronic music. Say, for example, like the way the BBC has,
right.
with a channel dedicated to it, and well promoted, well marketed programs for the different genres. And the people that were presenting on the show were people that they belong there. It wouldn't be strange, like, you know
Yeah,
here's this
it.
person presenting,
I
you'd be
feel
like,
like
who is this?
in the like in the 90s and late 90s and early 2000s, I feel like there was a lot more of it. And then it seems like for a while it kind of like disappeared. Like that show called Sonic Boom, it used to be like every night late would be all underground electronic dance music. There were other channels like B96, which did like all the pop dance music. It was more like of the 90s, which was like, you'd hear like quad CD DJs and Pump Up the Jam and like the mixes and stuff like that that would be played pretty regularly, but it was still pretty mainstream orientated. And then like eventually the show Sonic Boom ended, and it took about 10 years for it to come back. And when it came back, it was only on Friday and Saturday nights instead of being on like every single night. And I might be slightly off with my numbers there on that show, but yeah, like when I came back and was asked to be like a weekly resident that would air on the Friday and Saturday night show, it would go from like 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. or something like that. And it was only those 2 nights of the week. And you would think like in the home of house music, you'd be able to maybe tune on a radio station here in Chicago and hear dance music or house music any night of the week, but it was only like some very, I guess, very specific times and shows you could actually hear it on the radio. But also by the time when the show did come back, satellite radio was now a thing, and everyone, a lot of people were streaming music still, from your phone to your directly to your car, not even using the radio. Radio has become less relevant, just because there's more options that are more competitive with it. So, but yeah, but that it's
On-demand
interesting how
programming
it goes.
has totally changed. I think the way that people are just consuming everything.
Oh,
You,
100%, 100%.
do you feel like the on-demand idea has contributed to? I guess maybe I've got the lack of word. I was going to say disposability, but maybe that's what it is. I think to myself how fast people might go ahead and flip through something, as opposed to say, I'm not saying that you never hit fast forward on the CD. And I'm not saying you never hit fast forward on the cassette tape or that you never lift up the tone arm and flip through the record. Okay.
Yeah, but it was
But
a lot
but
less
did but
frequent.
right, I'm saying did we consume stuff differently when it was a hard copy? Has digital led to the idea that we can get through it quick, and if or we just get what we want out of it, and then it's gone?
I think, yeah, it's just all the way we consume everything digitally. It's so much faster. I feel like I don't think that we're less appreciative, or I think just overall I'd say that we're listening to more music, we're watching more TV shows, we're seeing more movies, and it's like if something is weak or if we don't like it, we can just turn it off and put something else on. It's not like we didn't like let's say you went just using let's say you went to Blockbuster in 1997 and you rented the movie Titanic or whatever. And it's like, all right, maybe if you didn't like it, you still paid like $3 or $4 to rent it, so you're gonna finish it, right? But on the other hand, let's say, or you bought a CD, you spent $10 or $20, on a CD, and you put it on. If you don't like the first couple songs, you might skip it. You're still gonna like, fuck, I spent all this money on this one song or this one thing. There's gonna be some value in it, so I'm gonna keep listening to it, even if I don't quite like it. Maybe it's going to get better. So that was a thing that, not just like I feel like you were more committed just because the investment that you put into experiencing it was much greater. So nowadays, it's like if you're using a streaming service, whether it's Spotify or Apple Music or Netflix, if you don't like a song, you skip it. It didn't cost you anything else to listen to that song for a second. So I feel like, once you get used to that mentality, it's just like it's one way of filtering out the noise of all the stuff that you're being bombarded with, whether it's musically or visually or visibly or sonically. But it also just gives you, I mean, it lets you hear more, but at the same time, I do see maybe it's valued less at the same time. So I could see that just like in club music as well. I feel like nowadays it's like if I'm doing a set and if I play a song that was popular like 4 months ago, like that's like a red. I feel like really guilty almost playing it. Like, man, this song is so old. This came out 4 months ago. while like I'd say like back in 10 years ago, like you might play a song for a whole year, like a lot of people might, you know what I mean? It's just like the speed of the way that things kind of come in and go is just much faster now. Um yeah, that's at least my experience. Like I feel like just this the lifespan of most pieces of art are just much shorter because of the ease of access and the just we've just kind of sped up our consumption and our attention spans and everything. So things just kind of come and are constantly coming and going. And it's like remember that old classic TV show Tiger King? Now you know like that came out like literally like less than a year. Now it feels like oh that was like way it felt so long ago, but it really was not that
Well,
old of
the
a thing.
pandemic feels extra long.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it, and because this kind of happened as like a darling moment, online for all of us that we were all connecting because we were all
Yeah.
watching this
But now
six
like
episode car accident.
and now no one's talking about it. You don't see it anywhere. You don't and it seems like it was forever ago. That's like kind of the general consensus, you know. So
What is it? Are we in some type of vortex? What is it about? What is it about time that all of a sudden that time seems like it's moving much faster for us? And I mean, are we aging with this as well?
you know, it's been I think I can't say who originally I guess quantified or quoted this, but it has been kind of a long known phenomena that as the older you get, your perception of time, the flow of time moves faster. That's like that's a pretty widely accepted theory that like it's just like and I could say that too I could think of like how like this is how fast how long it takes for a week or a month or a year to pass and now I can see it it seems like it's moving faster. I don't know if it's, we're just getting older or we're noticing it differently. Maybe um maybe the younger generation doesn't see it that way or maybe they're even twice as fast. I don't know, but I feel like part of it is that we're getting older and then we're perceiving time as flowing faster. But
think
quite a few theories as to why we might perceptively seem like that.
I've definitely heard what it is that you're talking about right now. What about when we were on the dance floor ourselves before being a DJ?
Yeah.
When was it that you'd hear, for example, a new song, and when did that song become a classic to you?
Yeah, that's that's tricky. Like I'd say that I it's one of those things like sometimes some songs you can just hear it and you just feel it or know it. I don't know. What's no no problem. No yeah, so like it feels like some songs like you it just has that vibe. Even sometimes you hear a song for the first time and you're like, man, you just know it's a good track. And it just sometimes you even hear it for the first time and you think you've heard it'll seem like you've heard it before that you already know it, whether it's just that good or it like so I can't say that um like I have like I know like over the course of my DJ career, like hearing several songs, and sometimes they'll just like hit you really hard and like holy shit, just like blow you away, and then sometimes they end up becoming like massive hits, and sometimes not. I think it's a pretty personal thing. Like other times, like if I'm shopping for music, if I'm looking like what to play, sometimes I will like listen. Hey, what is everyone else playing? Like you know, DJ set. It's you know, there's you have to have some element of balance. If you play only brand new, cutting edge, forward edge, I guess forward thinking tracks that no one's ever heard, you can kind of alienate the dance floor. So you have to sprinkle a little bit of familiarity in there every once in a while just to keep people to potentially, I guess, keep people more engaged throughout the course of your set. But some songs like I do remember hearing and just like boom, like I've just like it kind of like changed your perception of music. Like one of those one of those songs I think was for me which was the song Latch by Disclosure. I know that came out like you know, like that song, it came out like on their original album. It's the full album title. I'm drawing a blank at. But
I can't
you know,
remember
it
right
was, I
now
believe it
either.
was the album Settle. And so it came out initially like in like with their whole album, and then people started playing it. I didn't hear it like right away, but I seen Boys Noise was DJing at Spring Awakening Festival in Chicago one of the years that I was also booked to play, and I heard his set. He played I'll never forget, like he played Latch mixed into the song Acid Youths by David Heartbreak, which was like a totally it's like a reggae, like fast kind of ravey song mixed in like right after Latch. And I heard it, I'm like, whoa, like I just like this, like it just like I got frozen in time for that moment. And that like and like at the time, like it just like I don't know, something, it just like it hit all of my nerves like at the right time, the right place. And I was like, this was incredible. Like there's a few moments where you're out at events or part where like, but that was like one of those that just like hit me hard for I can't explain why. But anyways, then like then it was like a year or 2 years later, all of a sudden that song is like fucking everywhere on the mainstream radio. You'll hear it like at every, like it was like everyone. It was all over TV, radio. Like it got like it escaped. It exploded out of the just the dance music world and became like a part of mainstream culture, pop culture song at that. But it took like a year or two after that, from when I first heard it at that moment. So like there's the things like that happen, but like inside of the club, like you can just kind of tell and hear like what's popular, either based on stuff that you play or stuff that you hear other people playing. Like whenever I have that damn I need that track moment, like that's why the song is good. It's like, man, I got to get that so I can play it. You know, it's cool. Like right now we have a pretty there's a pretty solid scene happening here in Chicago, like in the house music world. Like a lot of my friends and collaborators are all releasing some really awesome music that I enjoy listening to and dancing to and also playing out. Um, just Gene Ferris, the Ferris Wheel Records. He's just putting out hit after hit. My homie Steve Gerard, he's got releases out. And his new project, Basura Boys, are releasing tons of stuff. And like at our main studio that we work out, we kind of have a shared studio space in Chicago. There's just tons of producers that are coming through, and just like there's like we're just making so much good stuff right now. It's like it's a really cool vibe and energy that's happening. I think especially during the lockdown, it kind of incubated a lot of dope music that we've been working on. So
Whose
and like,
space is
across a lot of
this?
different. So it's like it was originally kind of our porn and chicken studio space at this building called the Music Garage in Chicago. It's like 6 stories, and there's like a whole bunch of just band rehearsal spaces and music studios all in this kind of like in this complex. And yeah, so it's I kind of set the studio up and got everything going on, and then I've had different like friends and collaborators like come in that would like either bring in equipment and gear or kind of share the cost of rent for utilizing the space. So yeah, so it's me and Steve Gerard, our other friends, Alex Kislov and Arvi Mala, or other producers from Chicago. We're all just kind of sharing, and we all working with tons of different people. So it's a really good energy and vibe there. So um, yeah, it's a really nice treated room. Our main monitors are running Event 2030s. We got kind of just like the room is just tuned really cleanly, like 360-degree treatment and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty fun.
Can you take us into porn and chicken?
Yeah, where do we where do we
Where
begin?
do we begin? Do we begin with the porn or do we begin with the chicken?
Which came first, right? The
That
porn or the chicken?
that is the question.
And it's kind of like just I just going back to the history of what porn and chicken was, where it came from. The answer is they both kind of happened at the same time. There wasn't one. They both just manifested into existence. So like yeah, in case so the story is porn and chicken. It was a bit. The long story short, like it was a dance party that turned into a music group, which turned into a brand, which turned into a lifestyle, which turned into a record label, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, like, originally was like a Monday night party. Um,
Which on
that
its
my
own
best
sounds like a batshit crazy idea. If you're trying to tell
Yeah,
somebody, it's Monday
yeah.
night,
So there's a local
let's
bar
go.
in the Wrigleyville neighborhood in Chicago. It used to be called Risque Cafe, and my best friend Dom, who I didn't know at the time, had just started managing at this bar, and anyways, like every as bars have like weekly night specials, like they'd have like chicken wing special, all you can eat wings, which is what they happen to have on Monday night, or you might have like a burger night or taco Tuesdays or whatever. Just so happened that Monday nights they had an all you can eat chicken wing special, and the bar was called Risque Cafe. It was kind of like a burlesque and pin-up themed bar already, and it happened to be on Monday and different nights of the week they would show different different burlesque or pinup or retro things. But on Mondays they showed vintage like retro porn. So it turned into like there was just like a get together. Hey, we have this all you can eat wings. It was like $6 all you can eat wings, which is a crazy deal, looking back on it. But it just like people. It's like he started invite Dom started inviting all his friends that would come. People would come and play music and then you would bartend, and it just kind of built it like really fast. It just turned into a really crazy party where and then eventually Dom seen me DJing at this other bar, this other Sunday night party in Chicago that I used to throw called Poison Therapy. This local bar called the Kline Bar, and I was doing an Ableton Live DJ set, and I was using my wireless Rock Band Wiimote controller to trigger clips and effects during my Ableton DJ set. And he seen me doing that, this like little tiny bar. He's like, "Whoa!" I was like, "I want to book you to play my party at my small bar," and and just like yeah, he invited me to come and I played, and it just like it got even bigger. And then eventually, the party outgrew the small bar where it started. And we had to move to like a later bar that was open later called Evil Olive, and it was like quadruple the size. And then we were at that venue for a lot of years, and it just kept on getting crazier and crazier and
So
crazier.
I played at the Evolve for Porn and Chicken, and
Yeah, back in the day, back in one of the original parties, like the during the some of the peak of the craziness, I'd say probably.
it was an experience walking into the room. It's just it's not what you'd get obviously when you're walking into a room of another club night. As soon as you walk in, there's tables and there's buckets of fried chicken. And then when you look up, there's LCD screens ringing the whole club, and upon the screens, hardcore porn playing. And then there's these burlesque dancers who have metal plates upon them, and they're adding power tools to the plates, which is creating a crazy sparking that's happening off of it. And this is happening over the dance floor while DJs are rocking out and the dance floor is having its moment. Uh, I
Yeah, that sums it up quite well.
you'd almost think that you were walking into a Burning Man party on a
Yeah.
Monday night in the middle of downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
And so I've talked about this before because I wonder about what happened with, for example, raves in the late 90s where the secret location and rooms that were very decorated or themed, and that somehow we ended up going to nightclubs where that was entirely removed, and that the installation is based upon a form of tech. Like we've got this argon laser that is going to do this web over the dance floor, and smoke machines that will accompany the laser. And of course, this is cool. I'm not saying it's not cool, but at the same time, is it the same? Is it the same adventure?
You know what? Like that's I mean, we've always like at least like with porn and chicken, we did it, we did it for just about 10 years every single Monday night. And so if you do the math, like how many parties that equates to, that's not including any of the satellite like sister remote parties that spawned from it, like porn and chicken Denver, porn and chicken Las Vegas, porn and chicken Hawaii, porn and chicken takeovers at the basement of Webster Hall, New York City, porn and chicken Tokyo, and all this shit. Like if like if if you do about 10 years times 52 weeks a year, that's like almost 500 different parties. And that's I'd say we did at least that many, like, and that's including all the satellite ones that we did that weren't on Mondays. So anyways, like, if you could, and every single one of those, it was a different theme party, like on, just the free chicken we give away, pouring on the screens, awesome DJs playing bangers, dancers, performers, burlesque, and all that stuff. But we also, on top of all that, it also was a different theme. So like every single week we wear different costumes, or we do our best to try to decorate the place out, whether it was um some of our favorites, like the Nickelodeon Super Sloppy Double Dare Slime Party, where we just slimed the whole crowd, or where Mad Max, where I used to ride my Harley through the dance floor, like I ride my bike through the dance floor inside the venue, and
Okay,
then
let's
jump
get
on
to
and
it.
start my
How did you
DJ
pull
set
that?
from
How
there.
did you pull it off?
So
Like, how did you pull off? Was there a special permit needed to play the porn on the screens, or riding a Harley through the venue? Like, what
probably
did you?
probably there was one. I don't Did we have one? Probably not.
We probably not, or just not.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
You don't know about no permits.
that wasn't my department. I was in the porn department and the music curation department.
The porn
The legal
curation department.
all the legal aspects were handled by my partners typically.
It
Either
sounds
our
like a
account,
hard job.
either our man, it was a whole team that made it happen. For like for a lot of years, the core members were me, Don Brown, and Phi Tang, and that kind of managed it. But like, it was a massive team of people that all came together every single week to make it happen. Our graphic designer, our dancers, our chicken mascot costume wearers, like Salvatore, and before that it was Matt Garcia. Like every single week, he'd be in costume. Like, and we also had our accountants and lawyers and management and um, street team members and videographers and photographers. It was just like all these people that like we we had to come together to make it happen every single week. So it was a very big team effort and a community effort. Like a lot of most other like club nights, quote unquote. You show up, all right, there's music, there's a bar, go play your music, people have drinks, and that's it. You know what I mean? It's not like there's not really a whole lot. Sometimes they also will have like go-go dancers or performers, and then sometimes there'll be like a VJ playing stuff on the screen. But like, to really make it like immersive like that, we really tried to really stimulate all your senses. So I think I can attest a lot of the success of the party to that. It really was like a full experience, just like you were saying earlier. Like, you're going out to a rave, it's like something that was built, like, and you have to find it and experience it. And it's like, you know it just I'd say that just the it was just all this effort that really went into it to make it more like a communal experience. Like, that's kind of like what a rave is people coming together to make something happen out of nothing. And that's part of the joy and satisfaction, is like, hey, we're going out somewhere special to create just a special thing. We try to really do that every single week on a consistent basis, which was not easy. It cost all, we didn't, we made a lot of money, but all the money we ever made like went right back into, so we can book more DJs and do more costumes and do more decorations and better videos and all that stuff. So yeah, it just like, we really just invested everything right back into it to keep kind of fueling that fire, using that fire to buy more firewood to fuel that fire even more. Just kept putting back into it, keep making it bigger and bigger is the analogy I like to use. So
Was there a form of mentorship for this? Where was the team, the three core members? Where were you guys pulling the inspiration from to get the party going weekly? Did you see something that was happening that you felt that you were like, wow, that's
we
cool, but we can do something that's stronger than this?
yeah, like there there's been a rich kind of cultural and club history in Chicago. Like I think Chicago is most famously known for the warehouse venue, which is kind of where the term house music was coined from and where a lot of this stuff birthed from. It was an underground kind of warehouse space that people of all walks of life could come and hear the craziest music and just have a good time and let loose and not have to worry about things like not people being judged or so like that like so we all kind of grew up like inside of that like in the 90s, I guess, like before like even the big there were a lot of really crazy clubs and stuff that were where parties were kind of not that different like venues like the Limelight. The Limelight venue is probably most famous for their New York location, but there was one in Chicago too in the late 80s and early 90s, and um they would do crazy theme parties, would bring out different characters and performers and just be kind of outrageous, so like a lot of that was a big influence, I guess I'd say. um when we started, there was a couple other kind of weekly parties as well. Like Sunday nights were the party called Queen, which is still going on right now. And right now, like Derek Carter is the resident, and it just opened back up finally after the lockdown. So like every Sunday night at Smart Bar, you can go see Derek Carter play Queen, and that's like, like they that party's been going on for a
It's like
long
awesome.
time. Yeah,
Like
and there's other,
it's like Derek Carter.
yeah, like and
Woo.
then there's like some of the original club kids like JoJo Baby, who's still out and still performing. Like he has like if you ever seen him, you would remember like his costumes and creations that he goes out and hosts events and parties with are just like insanely out of this world. Like they're frightening and beautiful at the same time. Stuff like that. Like it's like so like we also tried to so that we kind of all grew up in that kind of world, but we just kind of took it in a slightly different direction. I remember when the party first started, like dubstep wasn't even a thing really in the United States at all. And like but we always kind of geared towards heavy banger, hard electro, um, kind of just high energy dance music of all different genres. And then eventually, like we became like one of the first places, like in Chicago, where you could hear dubstep like on a regular basis. So that really all the other older parties in Chicago were only doing house music, while we were trying to push the boundaries and do something different than just playing house music like these. So we really opened the door to this world to a much younger generation that was interested in new music and heavier stuff and just even pushing the boundaries a little bit further. And the heavier music, sometimes it induces a little bit more of a crazy like it's like if like it's a different vibe than just chilling to groovy house music compared to just really tearing the place apart with dubstep. So yeah, it's just like it's all these things that kind of culminated together. It's like and the biggest thing we drew influence from is just like wanting to have fun ourselves. It's like, hey, it was getting to be a different person or a different character every single Monday during the week. Like every single I always try to my best to like be a different character completely. That really like opens the door to just making it fun, and that's the if we're and we probably have more fun than anyone that attended most of the time. So like that was the important part for us. Just say what kind of party would we like to go to? I guess if you're gonna throw a party, you should ask yourself like, hey, would I actually have fun at this party, or why would I pay to go see this? Or if the answer is no, you're probably doing it wrong. So
It's a strong engine for a good vibe if you go out and you're aware of the people that are behind the scenes that are and they're going off and you see them that they're into it. It's just you're walking into someone's home and they're proud, and
exactly.
it's awesome, right? I mean, like you
Oh,
start to
hundred
go off
percent.
even if you're not into an ingredient or something, you look past it because you're like, this is great.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, 100%.
You never really left rock behind though. Rock always really
No,
did stay a part of you, and even recently you ended up going out on tour with Pigface.
yeah, I guess in November of 2019, we went out like on a 15 city, uh, n- I guess U.S. tour with the band Pigface. And if anyone who's listening who doesn't know Pigface, Pigface is basically like an industrial rock alternative super group that started in the early '90s. Um, it was originally founded by Martin Atkins, who was a drummer from the band, many bands, including Public Image Limited, which was Public Image Limited, Ministry, Nine Inch Nails, Killing Joke. He's played with like a million different bands, and like while he was drumming in Ministry, him and one of the other drummers from Ministry decided to like, hey, we're bored. We have all these awesome musicians. Let's do a side project and play music. And that turned into um, a side band called Pigface, and ever since its initial inception, it's had like a revolving door of members. There's been dozens upon dozens of people from all over the music industry have like came in and played with Pigface over the years. Like
Does that
just
lend to chaos in the remuneration for mechanicals and publishing? I
I
imagine
don't
the band's accountant is probably just like, not again.
yeah,
Like,
that's
another new member.
I can assume
Another new
like
member.
I, I can assume from I guess from the album release point, like I'm sure there was a lot of gray area in there, but then again, that's not my area of expertise. So but like on the most recent tour, um, we like at our Chicago, the last stop of the shore was the big one that we did at Talia Hall in Chicago, and like it was my job. I was playing all the loops and samples and sound effects and some keys and stuff, and then there was like three or four different drummers, three bass players, a couple guitar players, like six different singers, and including aside from our core group of members from the band, which was there were about 11 of us that actually went on the majority of the tour dates. We had like most notably, we probably had Danny Carey, who's the drummer from Tool. He played the last two shows with us. Randy Blythe, who's the singer of Lamb of God, he played the entire tour with us. We've also had Anesh from KMFDN, Chris Connolly from Ministry. Um, Man, there's so many that were just like in and out of that tour that I know I'm not gonna be able to name them all without someone getting mad at me. But like over the years, everyone from Trent Reznor to Flea to um just like there's you hit just I just recommend just go to the Wikipedia page. There's like a really comprehensive list so you can see like who's all was in there. So we
It's
actually
like
were
it's like
scheduled.
we're not on tour right now. What do we do? Be like, ah, it's Join Pigface.
Yeah, like if you go like I had to pull it up just for myself because there's so many, but it's like um if there's been like at least like 100 different people have played in it over the years. But I was one of the core members of this last tour, and we were actually scheduled to go back on tour in June of 2020 to do like 30 dates, but obviously COVID-19 had other plans for us. So yeah, there's rumors we might be doing a couple more shows coming up later on this year. Actually, now that stuff is opening back up, with hopefully that comes through. And a lot of the
What
members live overseas too, so it's a little bit trickier to fly back and forth um, internationally for some of the members. But yeah, that was a great experience. Like getting to play, like just doing like that 2 week tour, 15 cities back to back. It really kind of I don't know if because I my background before I really took off DJing, and I played guitar and bass and drums and keyboards in all bands, and then kind of all my bands kind of just dissipated while my DJ career just like skyrocketed. And but then just lately I've been trying to get more into the live music and playing with Pigface was cool. I've been starting to get I've been collecting equipment so I can start doing more like live PA stuff. I've been playing a lot more guitar lately. Like I've been like Tuesday night I'm playing guitar with another DJ. Just things like mix it up a little bit. As if you just DJ all the time doing the same thing, the same setup, it gets a little. I like to shake things up a little bit. So incorporating different equipment, different instruments. Just it keeps it interesting, keeps you on your toes a little bit more. I think so.
If you were, I gotta put you in the hot seat right now.
Yeah,
You ready?
I hope so.
You've got three tracks, Orville. There are three tracks that you know and love. They're tracks that would rescue a dance floor in a time of need. Or they're songs that everything's going fine, but they're going to pick it right up and throw the elevation, the vibe through the roof. It's going to, everything's on fire. What are these three songs for you?
So I think one of them is "Erotic City" by Prince, and it's the Scotty Boy remix of it. That's like if I go through like in record box, it keeps like a play count of how many times you've played, how many times you've played. That's like any given all the songs in here. That one, I think I looked at it. It must have been like it was a ridiculous amount of times I've played it, but I play it so much because it almost always works. I've never had a moment where like that song didn't work. So that's one of them. Um, Another one that's is kind of like a fail safe track. Is that kind of what you're asking? Like, what's like my fail safe like?
Sure, you can call them
Or
fail safes. Or you can just call them favorites. You just like there's just songs like for you that you know that they I was clearly I'm from back in the day, so I say never leave your box, but somehow that is translated something to digital today with record box, but key box sling stick.
yeah. Yeah,
They're
like so
it's song that no matter what you're rearranging before a gig, you've got it with you. You know it's going to work. It's irrelevant of what the era is. It's a
yeah, so
song.
that's definitely one of them that like I just pulled up my record box now because I'm curious like how many times it's in my count at 60, which that means like at like just on this version of record box, which is only like 3 years old, I must have played it at 60 different parties at over the last like couple of years. So and I would never like play it more than once. So
If
like
that was
that's
once a week, it would be a third. It would be 1 year out of the 3 years that you were
yeah,
playing it.
yeah,
Okay, there we are.
exactly. So that's one of them. Um, I'd say that one that's another one that's been a fail safe. That's a newer track. Is probably Jolene by Green Velvet and Claude Von Stroke. Are you familiar with that one?
I'm not familiar with it. I know that they got together and did something called, is it Get Cool?
It's Get Real.
Get Real. And I'm not familiar with that music at all. But Green Velvet on his own, yeah. Like
Yeah, you
War of
almost
the
like I'd
Saints is
say
my Green Velvet track. Like when someone talks about Green Velvet, like there's so many awesome Green Velvet tracks. But for me,
yeah,
War of the Saints.
yeah, I'd say that you can't almost any Green Velvet song it's gonna work. Like you have to dig like real far and get real obscure to find one that was not an absolute killer, but
I
like
feel
almost
like
any.
every year Green Velvet has a song, like many songs, but like at least one that is just you're just like fuck, like you
Yeah,
know.
like that one. I think it came out. It was 2020, but I still drop it, and I've been playing it lately. I know it's just been like in the mix. It's not super new, but like it's one of those like fail safe songs. And I think I guess that's for a third one, just to do something different. Another one of my favorites that I would not like to leave the house without per se, without having it on at least one of my USBs, is the song called "Under Your Skirt" by Zed's Dead. Um, this is like a drum and bass song, and
Toronto.
yeah, and like that one has a pretty high play count, but it's Under Your Skirt featuring Movado. Like that's just like one of my go-to fail safe. If it's ever like I wouldn't drop it in a house music set, definitely because it's drum, but yeah, I could drop it in a house music set. I feel like, it works. I played it in dubstep sets, in electro and drum and bass sets, and it's just I don't know. It's just like one of my favorites out of the last decade that I end up going back to, and I know that if it's a heavy centric party, it's gonna work.
Do you do you find yourself lost in files when you're going through your record box system? Are you missing music that you will discover a week later and be like, oh, that
You
would
know
have
what?
worked at the
Like
gig. I
I
wish I would have seen that.
my I think my problem is that like I almost every show I said I do, even if it's like a small weekly chill loungy gig, or if it's like a main stage dubstep gig, or if it's an underground drum and bass party, or if I know I'm going camping and I want some weird stuff to play out in the woods in the middle of nowhere, like just like last weekend, like um I always kind of go. I kind of get. I I don't know if I've spent too much time or not enough time, just like trying to just find the newest, best, coolest music that I can play. But what ends up happening is if you do that all the time every week, um, you'll end up accumulating more music than you have time to even play. And then what happens is, all right, so now you might like I have my record box open right now, so it's a little bit easier to speak on this. But like,
No, no, I actually I love that you did it. I think it's great. I like hearing about your play count on a specific. No, I'm being sincere. I think it's really cool that you were able to just go and pop it open and do that with
yeah,
us.
that's I mean, I because I'm bad. Like sometimes I'll forget the exact name or the exact mix version or how old or how many times I played it. But I kind of record boxes by home. It has all that information. It has all my histories, the sets, and I can kind of it gives me like a framework to kind of keep track of like where all my music is at.
For sure, because before the system existed, we were running all of us off this dilapidated memory style Dewey Decimal System in our brains to make it all come together. And you're
Yeah,
like, what the
and
fuck is that, right?
I still try to, I try to keep as much in my brain as possible, but like in my current version of Record Box, there's like 26,000 tracks
I
in
thought you
there.
were gonna say your current version of Orville.
But yeah, maybe in
Where I'm at right now, man.
my current version of Orville, like there's no way I can remember what
No.
all 26,000 songs are. Like I could, so record, it makes it easier to kind of go in and just see like sometimes, so like just going back to the earlier question, we got a little sidetracked, I think maybe. um but anyways, like I might have like I'll see like, hey, I have a party coming up and I want to get a bunch of new music just that I haven't played before, right? So I might like spend like 4 hours and find like 50 tracks that I'll go through all my record pools. I'll go on Beatport and buy stuff. Um I have like tons of promos that get sent to me all the time. So it's just the time. So anyways, I might, for that one party, if I'm doing like a 1 hour set, you know, I'll I might have 50 tracks queued up. And there's no way, if you're doing let's just say you're doing a 4x4 like house, any style of house, like there's no way you're gonna play 50 tracks in 1 hour, right? Like if you let them play out, it's closer to like 3.5 or 4 hours. So anyways, like
Right,
out of
right,
all
right.
those, I might have found some really cool tracks and like, oh, I didn't play it. And then all right, so the next week, oh shit, like I want to get some new music for next week. And then I'll download 50 more tracks, and maybe out of those 50, I'll only play like 12 of them. You know what I mean? And then it's just like, um, so you end up getting new stuff, but then stuff just kind of gets lost. Now, like looking back, like if I go through some of my playlists from earlier this year, like man, I don't even know what this song was, and it looks like I've never played it. But then I'll listen to it, like holy shit, this is a really good song. So it's just like I feel like I need to like get less music, like almost just so like I can really know the ones that are really good and get rid of the ones that aren't,
Your
so
promo email pops up and you're just looking at your screen, you're like, slow down.
yeah, exactly. It's like it's like it's always a balance. Like if you're too forward, I guess, I guess some parties call come some parties and events will call for it. I say especially like if the crowd is like really wanting to hear stuff that they've never heard before, um, it's better to be more forward or newer ish with your sets. But if you are playing like in a club in downtown Chicago, um, like, I'd say there's a part of the crowd wants to hear stuff they never heard before, but the other half does not. They want to hear stuff that they know or at least are vaguely familiar with. So you're able to use the familiar, I guess, the more popular songs as a way to reel people into the songs that they haven't heard before. It's just like it's always a balancing act. So
Where's the master class for this?
um, you can hit me up for lessons.
Where can we? So let's do
So
that.
here's a
Where
blog. I'm
can we
also
find Orville Kline online? Not just for the music. So first, let's go to it's a two-part question. Where can we find your music online?
So right now, I have music out under a few different aliases and projects. Like most people probably are more familiar with the Porn and Chicken alias. You can find all the Porn and Chicken music on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and SoundCloud. I also have solo music. Like I have been focusing more. I haven't put out a whole. I'll do just like a couple solo releases a year lately because typically my other projects just like take up more bandwidth than just I most of my solo stuff. It's just me putting out music for fun for the and anyways, you can find that on SoundCloud or probably Spotify or iTunes. I think it would be a better place to look. I also started a new experimental bass music project called Adoptable. We have two singles out, so you can just look up the Adoptable spelled normally on Spotify or any of your streaming platforms and stuff like that. So yeah, you could check that there. For all of just my personal solo stuff, if you guys have questions, I also want to plug the Ableton User Group Chicago.
This is my
Another
second part of my question. So thank you.
Yeah, so since the lockdown, like I started putting on a series of free live stream Ableton production workshops with a whole we did about 40 of them since the lockdown. We usually do like every week or every other week. And so look up the Ableton User Group Chicago on Facebook. There's a fan page and there's also a group. We're going to be doing a few more free workshops this summer, but it's a great place to come in. I interview really successful artists, engineers, Ableton certified trainers. We've also had brands like Pioneer DJ and Electron and Ovation and stuff. So if you're into music production, definitely check them out. Another just kind of a shameless plug if you guys are interested in doing private Ableton training or music consultation and stuff like that. I also do that as well. So I'm pretty easy to get a hold of on any Instagram. You look up Orville Kline on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Skype, whatever. I'm pretty easy to track.
Kline, a virtuoso of the dance floor and industry, in front and behind the scenes. It's been absolutely awesome having you with us here today. Super thanks you for joining us here in the utility room. He is Orville Kline, and you are absolutely awesome sauce. Really appreciate you being with us. If you are streaming or podcasting, make sure to like, comment, share, do all the things that make the room go boom. And we will see you next week. Thanks a lot.